What are you better at than 80% of people? Story 1. I so very much identify with one of Boomhauer's only intelligible sentences. For God's sake guys, I am trying to read an article on vintage Camaros and I've been on the same dang page for 20 minutes. Except instead of friends fighting over a ping pong ball, it's my inner monologue wanting to hash out something philosophical that has nothing to do with what I'm reading. Story 2. I have a very good internal clock. I know what time it is within 10 minutes and don't need an alarm clock to wake up. Even for like flights or whatever. If I know I need to be up at 3 a.m., I'll wake up at like 2:30 or so. When I'm awake, I'm super awake, too. I don't really have grogginess. Edit, love seeing other people that have this. It's a pretty low-stakes superpower. From the outside, other people never notice it. My wife is the opposite of me and is late to everything ever if I'm not involved. No one has ever been like, wow, you're just so punctual to me. Story 3. Art/design/aesthetics. I've always excelled at art, and my parents encouraged and fostered that natural talent with lots of classes that helped me hone my skills. I went to college for my BFA and I work as a professional fine jewelry CAD designer now. Not only do I work in a creative field, but I love fashion, interior design, graphic design, anything having to do with pleasing visuals. Finding, curating and creating beauty in my life brings me so much fulfillment. Story 4. Video games. I don't even want to sound like I'm tooting my own horn, but I just have a knack for them. I've been playing all kinds from FPS to MMORPGs since I was 6. Regardless of the game, I can play it at an average level casually and get to the top if I grind it out. The controls and mechanics just make sense in my head for almost every game. Except Rocket League, that one chews me up and spits me out. Story 5. I've learned how to parallel park pretty well since I moved to Philadelphia. I like to look down on the street from my second floor window and judge other people's shitty parking skills, especially when they have a huge spot but still manage to bump up against the car behind them. I feel pretty confident I'm in the top 20%. I can almost always get it on the first try. Story 6. Methodical troubleshooting of technical issues. Took me a while to realize this wasn't something that everyone has, and no, that doesn't just mean switch it off and back on again. As someone in a tech-ish field who has to do a lot of troubleshooting, it really does solve a lot of problems though. I think the willingness to have an assumption proven wrong and adjusting is really beneficial in troubleshooting. See, way too many people get hung up on experiential or anecdotal evidence for their assumptions and won't let go of them even when obvious testing doesn't bear the assumptions out. Well, the last 3 times it was this. Well, a few simple tests to replicate the issue aren't panning out, drop it and keep moving. Story 7. Detecting bad vibes in a person or a situation. Growing up in an abusive household hones those skills into a master level and gives you a hair trigger for your fight or flight response. If I get even a whiff of something feeling off, I am out the door. There have been a few times where that didn't listen to my gut, and every single time, I got burned. Never again. Story 8. Unintentionally memorizing useless information, including Survivor, RuPaul's Drag Race, mythology/fairy tales, comic books, books in general, music, and other pop culture. I was introducing my friend to Drag Race by showing her clips from it I haven't watched in years, and I still know every word and am talking along with it. Also, impressions. There are few people or characters I can't do. Edit, as you can tell from my PFP, Katya is my favorite Drag Race queen. If anyone has any questions about the topics I mentioned or impressions I can do, feel free to ask. Story 9. Overthinking. Most people, I have a headache, I probably should drink some water. Anxious people, I have a headache, what if it's brain cancer? This is worrisome. Very anxious people, I have a headache, I'm confident it's brain cancer, I'm going to obsess about this all day. Me, I have a headache, I am 100% sure it's brain cancer and I am going to get a CT scan to make sure. CT scan came back clear? Well, now I'm certain the cancer began the moment after I got the test. I have brain cancer. Story 10. Keeping conversations going. I'm so uncomfortable with silence I can make a conversation flow so easily. Does that mean the other person wants to talk? No. But I'm a pro at avoiding silence and can find good segues to new topics to keep the conversation alive. Story 11. Smiling. Even as a kid in elementary school, I got the award for Best Smile. Everyone got an award for something. Even on days that I feel frustrated or upset, people have asked me how I'm so happy all the time, which would always catch me off guard, lol. Story 12. According to others, I'm a whiz at geography, maps, and directions in general. I enjoy looking at maps of different cities/locations around the world. With that hobby, I have to be careful to not assume knowledge of other people. My wife explained to me that many people aren't able to read maps in the same way. Story 13. Playing pinball. I play only semi-seriously in leagues and tournaments, but am far from the best, only at around 4,500 or so in the IFPA global rankings. However, I wouldn't be surprised if 80% of the world has even played more than a handful of games at the most. Story 14. Violin, because 80% of people have never picked one up in their lives. I'm probably about in the middle of the remaining 20% though. I'm decent, used to play professionally in orchestra and got paid for it, but now just play for fun. I'm now at university for Luthery to learn to make violins. Story 15. I can write with both of my hands. I can print in cursive pretty darn well. I am technically left-handed, but as a girl in elementary school, I just try to be funny and I just started trying to write with my right hand because I was like the only left-handed person in the class and it came pretty easy and my teacher was pretty impressed, and then later when we learned cursive, I did very well with that right away. Useless information and abilities prevail. Story 16. Speaking and writing English maybe. I'm probably average at best, but I'm a native speaker so that's got to count for something. Oh, also maybe reading Irish. I'm not really good at it at all, but I don't think you need more than a couple of words to be better than 80% of the world. Story 17. Road racing motorcycles. Everyone thinks because I'm shy that it carries over to bikes too. When my leathers are on, my helmet is strapped tight and my engine and tires are warm. See you later. And there's 1,000 guys out there think they are fast on bikes. No. Your bike is fast. You probably are not. That's just my shtick, and I love seeing the humility when people realize they aren't fast. Story 18. Juggle and throw knives. Out of 1,000 people, I only know 10 other people whom can juggle. Only one other knows how to juggle knives. And me and the person whom taught me are the only people I know that know how to throw knives. It isn't a common skill. More so since I am more skilled at juggling and throwing unbalanced knives. Story 19. Sympathy and empathy. I'm good at being able to see other people's perspective and put myself in their shoes. I'm the guy people come to when they're overwhelmed and need to unload. If becoming a therapist didn't involve so much school, it would be my calling. Story 20. Apparently reading comprehension, reading retention, and just general memory and ability to absorb and utilize information. It comes without struggle to me, but as I've gotten older, it's become apparent that these things are major challenges for a lot of people. Story 21. Looking people directly in the eyes over Zoom. Most people look at the screen when they are talking. So you usually end up looking like you're looking down. The key is to look right at the camera. My friend and old co-worker told me once the first time I did it to her, it was like I was looking into her soul for everything that was wrong. She had gotten so used to the indirect eye contact of Zoom that when she felt like I was locking her gaze, she had to listen to every word I said. I don't always do it. I only do it when I need to hammer home a point. But when I do, I usually get listened to. Story 22. Golf. I'm nothing special, I'm about a 10 handicap. But considering the average golfer shoots 100, and a ton of people don't play to begin with, I think saying I'm in the 80th percentile is safe. Story 23. Forgetting names, but remembering number sequences. I can remember the cell phone NR I had when I was 14, and sometimes the most random numbers I see anywhere, but cannot remember most people's names. And sometimes even common words. I keep calling the tumble dryer the microwave for clothes. Tumble dryer escapes me every time. Story 24. I am a prodigious vibe reader. I pride myself on being open-minded and trying to be warm and friendly to everybody until given a good reason not to. But I can tell right away if someone sucks. I so often know before anybody else does. I can usually explain why I have an automatic distaste for someone, but even when it's just a vague sense that someone is no good, I'm always proven right. The trick is not being overly told you so about it. LOL. Story 25. Remembering facts about random cities, like what county it's in, and even the names of streets and highways. I also have a very good spatial idea of where they are on a map. Also, as a result of knowing the streets, even the street of cities I never been to after studying, I am pretty good at navigating around in unfamiliar areas. Story 26. Is being not happy a skill/S? All jokes aside, I'm pretty good at Excel and make them for everything. Company uses what I make and then shake my head at PPL that struggle with super basic ones. Especially the PPL that are younger than me and should be more tech savvy. Story 27. I'm not so sure about 80%, but there's this thing that people frequently comment on. I always know how to handle a situation. Hurt animal, broken down car, mental health crisis, injury, dangerous situation, EXC. I just know what should be done and I do it. I thought it was a thing everyone could do, but according to some people I've met, apparently not. Story 28. Willpower. Most people don't have the willpower to do stuff they don't want to do, like going to the gym, starting a new project, whatever, and sticking to that plan long term. When I was a teenager, I battled with this a lot and ended up being very good at controlling my willpower muscle. Recently I started a project with a few buddies of mine and I ended up alone doing everything. I feel like David Goggin reading my own post-skull, but it's true. Story 29. I can read and say whole sentences backwards. I don't know why, I just started doing it as a kid. To not get bored in long car rides, whenever I see street signs/billboards/shops or restaurant displays, I'd read them aloud backwards. First time my dad heard me do that, he said he used to do that as a kid, too. So my DNA has maybe something to do with it? Ick. Story 30. Spider sense. I once predicted a person was about to knock his McDonald's takeaway coffee off the counter a fraction of a second before it happened. It did a full flip, and yet I caught it with my left hand, too. I gave the guy his coffee and he said, "Thanks mate, you should play cricket," then just walked off. I think it's an ADHD thing. Thank you all for watching and don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe.